I've made a lot of money, lost a lot of money a couple of times, and I was living in a 6,000 square foot house, had a Tesla, all that other stuff, and I just reached. This was before COVID. I'm like, you know what? I'm done with this, and I went through a process of downsizing everything that I own. So I exited fiat, exited the bank, got out of the house, downsized everything that I have into 2 suitcases, and just went through like I guess, a spiritual process of just kind of resetting, letting go of as much of everything that I can, belief systems around anything. Like I just went through a whole journey of, focusing on my health and completely resetting. And what I found was I actually don't want that stuff anymore. And what you realize when you go through a process like that is so many people live in fear, or they live in a state of acquiring things based on how others will perceive them, not even about whether or not they get any actual value or utility out of those things. It really does become a rat race. I mean, and so what happens is when you go through all this process, and part of it as well is it's like exiting not just banks, but exiting mainstream media. I canceled cable probably 15 years ago, exiting as much big tech as I can. Some of it I haven't been able to. Exiting big food, stopping seed oils, being conscious about what I eat, making sure that I don't have to engage with the healthcare system at all, because most prescription drugs are completely unnecessary. And in fact, once you get on them, it creates dependency. So it's just like, and what you find when you go through this process is we need actually very little. And once you realize you need very little, it empowers you to be able to be willing to say, you know what, I actually don't even need any of that stuff. I'm not sitting here, because so many people are going to give up their freedom slice by slice to hold on to what they think are things that they already don't own. So for instance, you already don't own your stocks. Do you really own your property? When they go through and they decide that it's a climate emergency and they need your land for the trees and they use eminent domain, do you really own your property? If they decide that you have to pay taxes using CBDCs and your CBDCs have been shut off because of your behavior, do you really own your property? This is a situation where we need to win, and we need to win by exiting. You don't win something you have to, what you resist persists. So by fighting within these systems, we're giving these systems our energy. Pull the energy out, completely pull the energy out, put the energy into the other thing. And not, I mean, you mentioned something, there are a lot of NPCs. I don't know if I necessarily call them NPCs, but the programming has been intense. But they could go either way. They're not ideologically aligned to where they are. They're where they are out of lack of consciousness, not out of having made a conscious choice for one decision or another. So the way that we defeat the tyranny view is by living the freedom view in a way that others can actually see and start to experience and start to join in on. And so to me, there's like, so now there's no, you can't, there is nothing that I have no fear about this. You could take away everything that I have. I actually don't even care. I know it doesn't even matter. And you got to get to that point where you're willing to go all in. Do we really want freedom or not? And and look, the frustration for me is people that claim to be libertarian and claim to be fighting for freedom, but they really aren't